Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing really well. For those of you that are new around here, my name is Hannah and I'm an author from the southeast of England. Today's video is a bit different. This is another writing challenge. It's kind of a collaboration between quite a few of us. And it is the Authortube Fantasy Creature Writing Challenge. Terrifies me slightly. I don't write fantasy. I barely read fantasy, but I do watch fantasy. I don't know what the distinction is because I really enjoy watching it on TV, but I don't connect with the books very well, apart from that one Mark's Day one that I keep talking about. That one's really good. So this challenge is a little bit similar to the previous challenge I did. So you've got attributes of the fantasy creature. You have to put them in a hat, jump them around, choose them out at random, and then create your creature. Part one of the challenge is to draw the creature, which is terrifying. I have been practicing for maybe about 10 days and everything I produce is just horrific. It got to a stage where I considered asking my other half to do it for me and I would just pretend to draw it, and I felt really bad because he's really good at drawing and it would be really obvious. So I am going to try and do it. Yeah, drawing is not going to be good. And the second part of this challenge is to write a short piece with your creature in it. So last time when I did one of these challenges was the one where the guitar came out. So I promised the guitar will not come out today, mostly because I don't actually know where it is. And no, I'm not going to get the guitar out. I am going to draw the attributes from a hat this time. Last time I did the spinny Wheel of Doom thing. But I like this hat and I thought it deserved another outing. This was from a fancy dress costume, obviously, but it's pretty cool. So let's do the first. Oh, actually no, I need to let you know who else is doing the challenge first. I'm going to read them off because there are so many of us, so bear with. Okay. Authortube Fantasy Creature Design Challenge. We have a document because we're very professional. So the collaboration is between Dahlia Burrows, Jenna Streety, Kate Kavanagh, Katie Wilson, Bridie Blake, Jessica Williamson, Mackenzie Staley, myself, and Danny from DR Ranger Writing. And it's kind of a little bit mad actually seeing some of these names like Dahlia Burrows and Jenna Streety and Kate Kavanagh because I actually know who they are, but only through YouTube. I've never met any of them. I've actually never spoken to any of them, apart from Casey Wilson, I think, and Danny. So yeah, this is quite exciting. I hope it goes really well and I hope you enjoy it. So let's crack on picking out our creature's attributes. So the first category is its alignment. It will either be good, neutral, evil, or unknown. So let me just get my hat. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay. Oh, I'm missing one. There it is. So these are the bits of paper. I'm just going to choose it at random and hope it's not good because no one wants a good monster, fantasy creature. Okay. So we have chosen evil. Thank you. Happy with evil. Just going to put it on the floor. The next attribute is its aura or demeanor. So it's either light, dark, or neutral. And I'm just going to stick this back in my hat. Just to confirm, this is recycled paper. It's also scrap paper, and I will also recycle it. I just really didn't fancy the spinning Wheel of Doom thing again. Mostly because I'm not intelligent enough to work out how to record it whilst I'm still on camera, so I had to record it with my phone and then it looked really dodgy. So, let's have a look at his demeanour. My monster's demeanour is dark. These are good, because I'm not good at happy stories, aren't really my bag, so. The next one is form. So it's either organic, spiritual, mechanical, or camouflaged. I'm not going to lie, if I could really, really draw, I would absolutely want mechanical because the sketches you could come up with that thing would be awesome. But I can't, so I don't think it really matters which one I pick out because it's all going to look really, really terrible. Oh, talk amongst yourselves. I should have done this before I started filming, but I didn't really think about it. Where's the other one? I'm really hoping it's not mechanical actually, because I'm not going to be able to draw that at all. So its form is organic. Okay. Not vegan, just organic. And the last attribute that we have to pull from a hat is world. So is it from the earth? Is it fantastical? Is it dystopian? Or is it sci-fi? Kind of indifferent to this one actually. I quite like all of those themes. I used to really, really enjoy reading dystopia, but I've not read a dystopian fiction novel in a really long time. Interesting. So let's see. And I've chosen Earth. Okay, cool. Cool, so we have evil, dark, organic, and earth. There are 2 other attributes as well which aren't pulled from a hat, so you get to choose them, and that is the power and power type. I'm going to do that off camera whilst I'm attempting to draw this thing, and then I will come back, share my obviously wonderful Bob Ross style picture with a monster and probably less trees, and yeah, my short story, which hopefully will be better than the drawing. So see you soon. Hello again. So that took quite a lot longer than I thought it would. I'm back a few days later, different jumper, with a kind of drawing of my creature and a little bit of a short story to share. So just as a recap, the attributes for my creature were he or she or they, it. It is evil, it is dark, it is organic, and it is of the earth. I thought those 4 were really interesting actually, especially as they were pulled randomly because they all just went together really easily. So I was quite lucky, but also kind of unlucky because I went through a lot of iterations of this, a lot of different ideas, because they did go together really well, and I kept trying to do stuff that was way too complicated, so had to dial it back. So the power that my creature has is basically just the ability to devour things, just devours stuff. I don't really know what power type that would be. I guess organic again. It's just like maybe magic. I don't know. Whatever. It eats things. And I am going to show you the picture first, and I hope that you can see it okay. Here he is. This is my creature. So realistically, he's meant to be in the shape of an actual form rather than just a ball, but I really couldn't draw it. So here is a large ball of worms, which also, fact about me, I detest worms. I hate them. So these are just cartoon ones because I didn't want to Google them to find out any facts about worms. I really, really dislike them. But once I pulled out earth and organic, I couldn't come away from the bug thing. So that is where we are, Earthworm Jim. And this, I'm just gonna grab my laptop, is my story. Camping was never Lisbeth's idea. She hated it with a passion. Why else would mankind create hotels if not for the avoidance of dank mud, incessantly cold breezes, and worst of all, wildlife? Honestly, she didn't know how Annie had managed to convince her to go, but she had, and now they were both together, wrestling with tent poles in the forest. "Are you sure there's not a hotel around here?" Lisbeth whined. "Absolutely," Annie answered, ramming the thin metal pole into the earth, spearing God knows what beneath it. "Besides, won't it be nice to switch off for a while? Take yourself away from it all?" "Sure," Lisbeth groaned, rummaging around in her friend's backpack for something. "Hey, we agreed no phones whilst we're out here, so yours is hidden in my bag as you totally ignored my camping rules." Lisbeth's eyebrows tilted as her lips parted comically, expelling a huff into the forest air and leaving her pouting like a small child. "At least come and help me," Annie said, holding out her hand and summoning her friend over. They wrestled with the tent for a handful of minutes, the poles bending and flexing against their hold and refusing to take on the shape that a tent was supposed to have. "Wow, this is brilliant, isn't it? It's great, I mean it. First and foremost, I'm thrilled to be out here, surrounded by mud, and now we can't sort the tent out, so we'll be sleeping on the floor with nothing but the trees and birds to shit on our foreheads." Annie laughed. "Always for drama." "What I think you're trying to say is we'll be able to sleep outside in the gloriously warm air with nothing but the deep blue sky and stars to keep us company. I'm struggling to see what's wrong with that, to be honest." Annie threw her friend a look and grinned as she saw Lisbeth, allowing herself to smile. "Come on," she said, unravelling a camping mat and laying it across the ground. Annie lowered herself onto the mat, stretching her limbs and gazing up at the darkening sky. "You'll see eventually," she said, patting the vacant half of the foamy surface. Lisbeth relented and joined her friend, placing her head on folded arms. She turned her eyes to the sky that was dotted with trees and the odd wispy white cloud. "Close your eyes," Annie whispered. "What? Why?" Lisbeth turned her head sharply to see her friend had already gone, so she frowned again. "Fine," she huffed, closing her own eyes. Despite her best efforts, she began to relax. "You hear so much more out here when you're quiet," Annie said. I guess you're right." The two lay there in silence, listening. The breeze was warm and comforting. It carried with it the chirping of birds, the rustling of squirrels and small forest animals, and the steady breathing of the two friends. "It is peaceful, I suppose," Lisbeth said as she allowed her breathing to slow and her body to relax against the earth. There really were so many sounds amongst the quiet of the outdoors that it was hard not to be swallowed by the beauty of it. There wasn't a car to be heard, no roar of engines or wail of police sirens, just the gentle flapping of wings as birds ascended and changed course, the rush of the swift river below them, and the loud and ominous groan of something eerily close to their heads. Lisbeth's eyes flew open. Had she nodded off and started to dream? Her jaw clenched and her eardrums flexed, trying desperately to magnify the sound she was convinced she'd heard. There it was again. A slow, drudging, chomping, chewing noise, the kind you have no choice to make when you're eating very sticky toffee, only a hell of a lot bigger, suctioning and slurping and squelching right behind them. "Annie," she said, rushing to sit upright and shake her friend, who had seemingly nodded off. "What?" "Listen." The two girls sat side by side, hearts swelling in their chests, and listened. "There! What the hell is that noise, Annie?" Lisbeth was on the verge of panic as Annie frowned, leaning towards the source of the noise. I don't know. Some kind of bug, maybe?" "Are you kidding? A bug? Bloody big bug, Annie. Is this some kind of joke?" "No," Annie replied, shaking her head and staring back at the half-constructed tent leaning wonkily against a tree. She got up and walked curiously over to the khaki lean-to, Lisbeth reluctantly following behind her. "There it is again," Lisbeth sputtered. The sound was getting louder, the chomping and chewing becoming more frequent. "That's not a bug, Annie." It soon became so loud that the two girls were shouting to each other. Annie was just inches away from the tent now, with Lisbeth close behind her. She wrapped her fingers around the tent pole and tried to wrench it from the ground. It wouldn't budge. Lisbeth leant over and grabbed on as the two heaved at the metal protruding from the soil with all their strength. "It won't budge," yelled Annie. I think something's got hold of it." Lisbeth tightened her grip and placed one foot at the base of the tree. She tipped her body back, heaving with all her strength at the pole. She howled, flying backwards against the dirt. The earth finally released the pole, sending Lisbeth and Annie hurtling back onto the ground. A hole had been torn across the top of the dirt, far deeper than the pole could possibly have reached. A tangled mass of worms tumbled from inside the hole, spilling onto the surface above. Both Annie and Lisbeth rushed to their feet, backing away from the growing heap of bugs as the earth expelled them onto the forest floor. They kept coming. Not a normal amount of worms, but what seemed like thousands, all knotted and twisted and coiled together. And the more the earth rejected them, the more they tangled themselves together in one pulsating, fleshy, shiny mass that was rolling towards the pair. The worms at the front of the swarm stretched their mouths open wide, swallowing whatever was in their path to drag the glistening heap deeper into the forest and closer towards the two running girls. Soon the creature had gained such speed and velocity that Lisbeth and Annie were forced to sprint into the shadowy forest. Annie was faster than Lisbeth, but only by a few feet. "Keep running," she screamed behind her. "The main road is just up here. We can get back to the car." Their feet pounded against the land, but despite their running, the creature continued to grow and gain on them. "Oh shit!" Lisbeth yelled as she tripped over a tree root, falling harshly onto her front. Her head ricocheted off a nearby stump, pounding and protesting in pain. "Annie!" she bellowed, holding out her hand and trying in vain to right herself. Her friend turned, her eyes widening in horror. She tried to force her feet to take her back to Lisbeth, to save her. She wanted desperately to be the hero, to help her best friend. But as she turned, the creature, which had now more than tripled in size, was stretching its wide mouth open, readying itself to swallow Lisbeth. Oh. All right, so that is the end of my story. I hope you liked it. I realise now it's kind of more horror than fantasy, but we'll just ignore that because it's kind of in the same realm. It's totally fine. Be sure to watch everyone else's videos. I'm going to put them in the first comment below with all of the links to everyone that I mentioned at the beginning of the video. And if you fancy having a go at the video, just let one of us know it's in the comments. As I said at the beginning, Danny from DR Ranger Writing was the guy that created this amazing challenge, which swallowed about a week of mine. Therefore, I created a creature that swallowed even more. So yeah, I really hope you liked this video. If you did like it, please do give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel. Thanks. Bye.